Hey folks, it's Jim Porter over here at Solano Mortgage. And about 24 years ago or so, I read this book. This is Robert Kiyosaki's second book after he wrote Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Anyway, this talks about becoming an investor. This is about diversifying your investment portfolio into income-producing assets. And real estate and dividend-paying stocks and things like that is how you develop assets that produce monthly income. Now, your owner-occupied residence is not an asset, is not an income-producing asset unless your wife and your children are paying you rent. Or if you have an accessory dwelling unit in the backyard and the tenants back there are paying you rent. If you're not getting any income or rent on your owner-occupied house, that's not an asset, that's a liability because you have to make the monthly payments. And even if the home is free and clear, you've got to pay for the maintenance, you got to pay for the PG&E, you got to pay for the water, you got to pay for the garbage. So what we're going to talk about today is buying income-producing assets in real estate. And kind of a special thing we're going to talk about today is how do you buy income-producing real estate where the interest rate on the mortgage that you're about to get is 2.5%, okay? You obviously aren't going to be able to go get a new mortgage loan today at 2.5% or 3%, but there are a whole bunch of people out there that have a mortgage on their house below 3%. What I suggest that you do is consider buying 50% of a house as an investment property from someone that already owns the house and has a 2.5% interest rate mortgage. For example, a young couple that has fantastic credit, that's living in a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,260 square foot house. They now have 3 children that they've just produced over the last 5 or 6 years since they bought their house. They owe $300,000 on the home, and in 2021, during the COVID, they refinanced their mortgage down to 2.5% on a 30-year fixed-rate mortgage. Again, they owe $300,000 on the house. It's now worth a little over $600,000. They have $300,000 worth of equity in their home. They want to move up to a new home, but they don't quite have the guts, or they don't quite have the cash needed for the down payment. But they don't want to walk away from their 2.5% interest rate mortgage. What are they going to do? Well, here's what they can do. They can call Uncle Bill or Uncle Joe or Aunt Kathy and say, hey, Aunt Kathy, would you like to buy half of my house? Well, how would I do that? Simple, Aunt Kathy. Write me a check for $150,000 and I'll add you on to title as a 50% tenant in common partner with me on the house. I'll sign a partnership agreement with you with an agreement to sell the house in 10 years and split all the equity 50-50. You can assume half of my mortgage. In other words, the $300,000 that you and I will owe on the house will be at 2.5% interest. Our total house payment, by the way, is only $1,700 a month. We'll rent the place out for $2,800 a month, and we'll split the positive cash flow. Oh, and if you don't have the money for the $150,000 or half of the $300,000 worth of equity, heck, I'll lend you the money, Aunt Kathy. I'll lend you the money with no points or fees so that you can give your nephew the $150,000 he needs for the down payment on his brand new house in Dixon or in Woodland or in American Canyon or wherever it is that they want to buy. Anyway, hope you're having a great day. Call me and I'll share more with you about how to do this.